Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Hey, welcome to episode 6 of the Fasting Focus Lifestyle Podcast. In this episode, we are going to be talking about leveling up. And by that, I mean, maybe up until this point, you've tried or attempted fasting methods before. Maybe you've hit that quote unquote dreaded plateau and maybe feeling like you're stuck and feeling like, fasting doesn't work for you when it actually does. So in this episode, we're going to kind of dissect and look at the full adaptation of implementing fasting into your lifestyle with multiple different kind of tricks as well. So stay tuned. Be a good episode. Welcome to the Fasting Focus Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. All right, so in this episode, like I said, we're going to be talking about leveling up. And the first thing I think it's really important to cover is that full adoption of the fasting focused lifestyle. And I talk about this a lot, and it's the name of my second business venture for a reason, because I feel that implementing fasting is not a conventional diet. When somebody assigns fasting, intermittent fasting, water fasting, whatever method of fasting in general, if the moment you label it as a diet, your approach, I don't like to say that it's wrong, but it's a mindset that needs to be just kind of adjusted a little bit. Adoption fully of implementing that fasting focused lifestyle, I feel personally is implementation of a lot of things in addition to that, essentially a controlled, timed eating throughout each of your day, or maybe full fasted, depending on what your method is. The first and foremost, I feel like balance. And I talked about this briefly before I hopped on to start the podcast here for the folks that are watching today on my Facebook Live from my Fasting Focus Lifestyle page here. The biggest thing I feel that I want to talk about would be balance. So the couple things within balance to remember is when you're first starting out, so many people that I talk to right off the bat think that, they're ready and excited to start fasting. And that's great, as you should be. It's an exciting, absolutely life-changing, transformational process. No matter the length of time that it's going to take you. Like for me, it took 2 years to fully reach where I had, in the back of my mind, I hoped I would get to that point of reaching a body weight of 180 pounds. I'm 5'11", so I'm obviously really tall. So I had never imagined, I had just kind of like, I'm going to hypothetically put out there, I'm just going to put it out in the universe. I would love, and it's on my board, still on my calendar as I look at it right now. It's old and I refuse to wipe it off. But I remember writing 180 and I put little asterisks around it. And I was like, man, if I ever reach 180, chef kiss. That'll be like the creme de la creme. That'll be the point where I stop. And that'll be like, ta-da, I reached maintenance. And then we go from there. Having that kind of like just realization that first and foremost, when you start this process, to not overburden yourself. Don't take on more than you can handle at once, especially with adoption of this fasting focused lifestyle. Again, I feel personally focus on the fasting first, because I feel everything else is going to come secondary to it as a result of this lifestyle. So just to kind of give a little anecdote to relate to what I mean. When I first started this lifestyle And I was very close to teetering almost 400 pounds at, again, I'm 5'11". I remember very vividly, I think back and reflect on it very frequently. My first 2 weeks when I started this lifestyle, I had learned very heavily about the method of that 16-8. So you fast for 16 hours and your eating window, I say eating window, you're not eating the entire duration. The eating window was a designated 8 hours. So the way that worked for me is I would go to bed. Well, I would close my window at like 8 o'clock, maybe 9. It wouldn't be consistent. So anywhere between 8 or 9, I would stop. I would make sure I wouldn't eat anymore for that day and would not eat again until the following day, usually around, 1, 2 o'clock or so, give or take, depending on what the events were that day. And that was my main focus. Yes, I wanted to make sure that I was paying attention to what I was eating, but at no point, and still to this day, at no point was I obsessively counting calories. Was I, obsessively restricting the foods that I was eating, just obsessively working out. That, yes, of course, that in conventional dieting world, you got to eat right. You got to make sure you're exercising and counting your calories. And is it keto? Is it carb free? That is too much stuff. That is way too much. Fasting works. Fasting has been around since humans have been around. Like that, we're either in a feast or a famine. And that's a little fun term for a reason. When we're in that fasted state, your body is at rest. Your body is just chilling, doing what it needs to do, rehabilitating, utilizing your stored body fat resource for fuel. And when we are in conventional dieting mode where we think we have to eat a breakfast, there goes your insulin spike, drop down, up, snack, midday, up, goes up again, lunch, up, down, and we're riding the insulin waves all day. And yet we wonder why we're not losing weight, why we're having hunger pangs all day. Utilize that fasting method first off, right from the bat. Let that be your primary focus because, again, like I mentioned, when you feel like you've got to do the fasting and you got to do the keto and you're going to count your calories and you're going to obsessively work out, man, forget all that. Focus on the fasting focus lifestyle, y'all. Come on. That's why I call it that. I feel like that has to be the primary focus because by doing that, it's going to allow you to really pay attention to the fuel, the food that goes in, because that's what you should really be thinking about when you go to break your fast later on that day. If you're starting with an intermittent fast, like a 16-8 or an 18-6 or a 24, like those low, moderate kind of level fasts, your focus first and foremost is going to be on the time of, when you are in that fasted window to breaking your fast. By allowing your body to really reap the benefits of being in that fasted state, taking the focus off of what should I be eating, what food is good, what's bad, oh my gosh, am I working out enough? Remove all that. You're going to notice the more times that you're able to integrate those daily habits of flexing that intermittent fasting muscle, you're going to notice, oh, hey, I broke my fast yesterday with something I probably should not have. You're going to recognize that a lot quicker. You're going to recognize your taste buds starting to adapt and change. You're going to start to crave foods that are fantastic and healthy for you. You're going to realize the foods that you're eating are actually the foods that you're eating in that eating window. Those are the fuel sources that are going to carry you into your next fast. So while you're sleeping, your body's like, oh yeah, we got the goods. We have great food ready, because even when you're sleeping, your body is working. Your body needs energy to burn, to beat your heart, breathe through your lungs. Your body's still working. It needs fuel. But when we make sure that we put the right stuff in, when we're in that eating window, that shift will come over time. It's not something to obsess about right from the start. So if that has been on your mind or been a concern, I'm here to tell you, don't worry. Not to say hit the drive-through every day for your first couple weeks of starting your intermittent fasting. You might lose weight, but honestly, I wouldn't personally recommend it. It's something where you have to remember, okay, the affectionate terms that I use with my kids, and I feel like this helps to correct the stigma that's out there of that's a bad food or this is a good, I have to have this. Even though I hate this food, oh, I have to have it because it's low carb, low calorie. Man, forget that. I balance is the key term, balance those food choices as sometimes foods, which would be like your more indulgence, your high carb kind of foods versus your all the time. So is it a sometimes food or is it an all the times food? And it's important to remember your balance should be more predominantly in your all the time food. And again, don't think of, in a sense of restrictions of levels of carbohydrates, sugars, like calories and all that stuff. Remove all that. Start with using your common sense. Use your intuition. Use your gut of what you know, what you truly know and believe are going to be good choices for the start. That's how you should be starting it. The less you can label foods bad versus good, the more successful you're going to be, because over time, you're going to need to rely on your inner instincts of what's going to be right, a proper choice for food, and maybe like a sometimes choice for your food. And this is going to add on to and build on top of that verbiage, that change from a sometimes all the time food. You're going to start to notice verbiage, dialogue change in your mind. When you allow to let yourself, oh, yep, I broke my fast with, a great salad. I was really excited to break my fast with like a handful of cheese or nuts or eggs, whatever fat source you have to break your fast. Have the bulk of your meal. If you have a meal that you're cooking for your family, friends, maybe a gathering where there is some carbohydrates or some starchy vegetables that, stigmatized as like, oh, sometimes food, but you want to have a little bit because you want to be involved or included in the, the event, the celebration, or whatever is going on with that meal. Absolutely have it. But the hack with that I'm going to let you know is to have that at the tail end of your meal. So it should be the last thing that you are consuming. So have the bulk and primary sources of the food that you should be eating in that meal are going to be first and foremost your fats. You always break a fast with a fat, usually in a small kind of like just a small handful size serving. Break it with a fat. If you can, wait half an hour, 45 minutes or so. See how you feel. Check in with yourself. Have a drink of water, sparkling or flat, doesn't matter. At that point, go into your meal. Have your protein, have a little bit more of that dietary fat, have some fiber. Fill up and let that be the main bulk of the food that you fill up on. Then at that point, you can look at your carbs, starch, dessert, whatever, and think, okay, I'm going to check in with myself real quick, do a couple breaths and like, that's really calling to me, or I'm being triggered by that food. Do I really want it? Or is it just, do I really need it? Or is it just like a childish kind of tantrum want that I'm having right now? Either way, have one bite. But with that one bite, take it so freaking slow. Take your time and really just savor. Smell it. Be a part of it. Be really weird, like almost to the point where you're weirding out people behind you. And they're going to be like, what is she doing over there? She's having this like, woo, euphoric experience with a bite of chocolate cake. Who cares? Other people's thoughts and opinions of you are not your responsibility. Side note, don't take on other people's thoughts and opinions of you. They're yours. So pay attention to your thoughts and feelings first and foremost. So being in that moment when you're having those indulgent foods, think about how you feel, what the hormonal, emotional response is when you're consuming that food in that moment. Think about all that. Maybe even rehash previous times where maybe that was a binge food for you before. Like for me, I had always been a sweets person and I could just mindlessly eat like packages and packages of food. And, my other thing was French fries, and I always wanted to have French fries all the time. I would smell like that fried, like fair French fries where they cook it and you could put salt and vinegar and all that garbage on it and stuff. The smells is the first off is your sight. So seeing the food, smelling it, your taste buds and receptors are already like, oh man, here we go, it's coming. Then that's kind of steers you into that potentiality to go onto that full binge, which you're trying to avoid. So you've already filled up on your meal that you've consumed, breaking with the fat, having your protein, your fiber, more dietary fat to fill up the bulk. So that way, when you do have your indulgent, sometimes food at the end, whether it's a carb, whether it's some pasta, whether it's potatoes, honestly, have them, but slowly. Be mindful, be present, really savor each bite. Think about the way that your body feels, the emotions that you feel. Get really cheesy, get really corny, not like literal cheese, but get get really corny and like be present in all those emotions, because that way, when you get triggered, when you're in that fasted state, you can use that very moment that you just took in that moment of consumption of those indulgent foods to revisit and say, wow, okay, I'm being emotionally or hormonally triggered right now by this food that I'm smelling when I'm walking through the grocery store. Like maybe it's fresh bread for you, or, you know, driving by the drive-through and your window's down and you smell the fresh fries. You can even do it while you're in the car. Take a breath, like while you're driving, paying attention, obviously, to driving, because y'all be safe. Taking a nice deep breath and remembering that moment that you had that indulgent food and really being present, and just take a moment, take your tongue and rub it in the inside and the top of your mouth and just revisit that experience again. So when you have that indulgent moment where you're having your carb, your starch, dessert, whatever, be present and almost like store it as like an experience file, if that's like a thing. Store it in your mind so you can utilize and tap at that later. And if there's other foods that, you know, your savory sweet that you maybe want to save in your mental experience bank for later, do it. So that way, when you're triggered again during that fasting window time, you can tap at it and be like, all right, let's load the file of when I had my one bite of that chocolate cake. I just need to get over this because I'm being triggered by seeing donuts and I'm in the office and oh my God, the donuts smell great. Let me revisit that time I had the chocolate cake and just get over this craving or trigger that I'm being pulled at right now. You can do that. The mind is an incredibly friggin' powerful thing. And I feel like we're underutilizing it. But with fasting, it just kind of like, somebody just removes all the fog and you're there. You're present. You're able to be a lot more attentive and aware to those pangs, to those emotions, to those triggers, to the things that we just kind of numb down when we're just mindlessly inhaling, not paying attention to what we're eating, not thoughtfully being present with every single bite that we have, which, like I said, is going to help to build over time, because it should be progress, not perfection. Those proper changes of food choices will come. Just be patient, be kind with yourself, and they will come. They will absolutely come. So that kind of compiles on those behavioral changes as well. You're going to notice things within your behavior as you start to adopt that kind of forgiveness with yourself that, you know, I'm going to allow myself to participate, you know, maybe in a wedding, a birthday coming up, a close friend, or, you know, you're going out with friends or whatever, and you want to participate. Maybe they're going out for drinks and you don't want to miss out because you're fasting. Don't limit yourself. You have to always account. There's always going to be a celebration. There's always going to be an incoming birthday, you know, death, anything traumatic, you name it, it's going to come up. But the verbiage, the behavior, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we hold on to and attach to specifically to, I can feel the emotions coming, to thinking that food is the fix for it. No, don't treat food as a fix, or as a drug. We are not animals. We are these beautiful vessels of our bodies are where our souls live. Sorry guys. Our bodies are where our souls live. And if you expect your life to be long and bountiful and healthy and full of zest and just like living to your optimal ability, you've got to think about all these things in the way that you think about things, the way you react to stuff, and being present in those moments when we are eating is so important. And again, don't feel like it has to be, I'm not totally present right at first. forgive yourself, okay? Forgive yourself, because it's supposed to be a journey. This is like you're the tortoise and the hare. Y'all remember the tortoise and the hare from elementary school, right? So be okay with being the tortoise. Don't feel like you have to rush. I can't wait until I get to that weight loss goal. I can't. Knock that off. Stop it. Stop it. If you're doing that right now, take a breath, recognize it, stop it. It's okay. You being present. Whoo, I can feel the emotions coming again, y'all. Woo! Being present in every single one of those moments. Every single moment that, sorry guys, every single moment that you say no to an indulgent food that you maybe had binged on before. Celebrate it. Own it. Love it. Every moment that you're able to say no to a hormonal pang or an urge, or maybe something someone said to you that old you would have gone and turned to just a total binge fest in your pantry. Celebrate it. Celebrate those victories. No matter how small, they're significant to you. They're significant to you because, sorry guys, this is your life. And it's short, and it means so, sorry guys, sorry. Life is short, and it is incredibly, incredibly important that we take pride and ownership in the quality of our own life. Nobody is going to care as much for your health and longevity of life as you will. Being aware in each of these mundane, boring moments, triggering moments, really identifying what the trigger is and controlling that response. You can do that through fasting. Fasting has done that for me. Fasting just kind of, like I said, removes the fog, removes that haze, that feeling that when you're in that stressful situation, you don't always have to turn to food as a vice, as a drug to help and overcome this stress. That you don't have to. You don't have to. Your mindset, your grit and strength and tenacity that you can achieve from within you, within behaviorally, from this fasting lifestyle, it is incredible. It can transform your life. I'm here, like my life is transformed because of just implementing this, having that over time understanding that things are improving, noticing behaviors improve, noticing that weight is coming down. All these compound on top of each other, and they will build you the most beautiful, long, healthy life for yourself. And I want that. I want that for every single person that crosses my path or asks for advice or needs help or guidance, direction, insight, wisdom, whatever. It's a journey. Don't wish for it to be here. You have to have that understanding that it is going to take time, because it took time to get to where you're at. Be kind and loving and compassionate and understanding, and forgive yourself for previous things. Forgive yourself along the journey. Was my journey perfect the entire way? No way. I, as many of you know and have seen, I have utilized and actually won my healthy wager that I bet. But the thing with my healthy wager, and I'm very candid about this, I have no problem telling people, yes, I made an initial healthy wager to lose 150 pounds after I found the intermittent fasting with the 16-8 and how I could continue and grow that. I knew that I could lose 150 pounds, and it was just honestly a matter of time. The initial timeline that I had set up for myself, I believe it was like 9 months. But again, I'm very candid with this. I had to extend my healthy wager 2 times. Could I have beaten myself up and get derailed and stop entirely? Yeah. Are there people that have derailed and stopped entirely because they came short or fall short of their healthy weight goal? Yeah. I've heard it. I've seen it and, heard about folks that has happened to them. I felt like this is a journey. Like I said before, having that present mind and appreciation for the journey along the way, that there's going to be struggles, there's going to be difficult situations, like midway through my journey, becoming a widow, like starting my weight loss journey. Did I expect that to happen? Absolutely not. But I knew with every daily check-in that I do, and that's, I believe I've talked about this before in previous episodes, daily check-ins are so important. Waking up each day, again, being aware, taking those nice deep breaths to realize, okay, I'm fasting today. Again, making it just part of your daily routine. I'm fasting today. How do I feel? When do I feel like I want to break? When, thinking ahead of your day, I've got, these responsibilities or obligations that I've got to do. I plan on breaking it at this time and something. But having that open-minded kind of mentality where if something comes up to derail you, that you have a backup plan. Don't feel like everything has to be hard, fast, perfect, or not at all, because that's where people derail and they feel like they can never come back on. Forgiveness for yourself throughout this entire process is essential, because you're going to slip up. There's going to be days where you just go overboard when you're eating, or maybe you have something during your eating window that you didn't intend initially on eating. Y'all, that's okay. It's okay. We are humans, and this is your life. Be present in those moments of indulgence where you go off the rails and realize, hey, yep, I slipped up, but it's all right. I'm getting right back on. Or, it was okay. I acknowledge I was feeling XYZ 1, 2, 3, and, I'm going to think and maybe meditate or take a walk. The level of stress and trauma varies from person to person. But if you are so tenacious in your determination and you are focused to make this a part of your life, if you map out where you want to be, and I love telling folks, I'm not going to move I have things all positioned here, but I've shown you guys multiple times my calendar that I have it broken down, and I still have it written up there in whiteboard marker that I'm never going to take it off. But I have it broken down from when I first wrote it. I wrote down my weight loss kind of, increments that I could cross off along the way. And the first one that I wrote down was with arrows down, to be under 300, and then 290, 280, all the way down to, and then like I said earlier, the magic number, which I assigned as 180 with the little asterisks behind it. And as a side, I assigned 180 as my, quote unquote magic number, because as previous weight loss coach and medical, assistant working in different medical offices, I'm very aware of body mass index and, weight to height ratio and why that matters and all that stuff. It's not something I obsess over. It's a data point I like to be aware of within myself. And I knew that reaching that weight of 180 would get me to a healthy, normal BMI, which I have never been at, ever, until now. So, like I said, over the 2 years that it took me, crossing off one at a time, celebrating, really being present as I'm taking that marker in my hand and crossing off, meeting that goal with each number that I crossed off. Ooh, I get goosebumps now thinking about it, because it feels so good. Record it, preserve those memories, preserve your journey all along the way, because those moments adding up, I can feel the emotion coming again. Those victories all along the way are going to mean so much more collectively once you reach your weight loss goal. Now, once you reach your weight loss goal, by no means is it like done and over and just go back to eating normally. Everything is going to change for you. Like just the way that you look at your relationship with eating, maybe or emotional, hormonal, hunger pangs, stressors, and all that stuff, dramatically change. And it's that process, that learning process within yourself that has to happen. And this is, I feel, how you can truly level up your fasting game. And it's something that you have to be excited about. Love this process, because again, sorry guys, this is your life. Sorry. It's important to be excited, be passionate about this, because if you are stuck in if you are stuck in a really dark, hard place like I was, feeling like you would never, feeling like you could never pull yourself out, that you will always be that quote unquote big girl. Man, I'm telling you, you don't have to stay there. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Don't accept that label. You are not the label. You are not your situation. You are not that circumstance. I'm telling you, you can fix it. But be compassionate and have that level of love and excitement for this process, for your life, and know that every day, know that every day showing up for yourself, being there, that's what's going to take you all the way to where you need to be to reach your goal. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to call it for this episode before I get too further weepy and full of tears and stuff. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on my Facebook, The Fasting Focused Lifestyle. Again, if you have any other questions, maybe future episodes that you would like me to cover, I'd love to talk about them. I like to also in the future start featuring folks to talk about different topics and maybe talk about successes that they've had or things that they had to overcome or issues that they have still going forward that I can help with. I truly mean it when I tell you guys, I care about every single one of you that reaches out to me for help, support, questions, whatever. I take it very passionately and very seriously because, again, this is your life and it's yours and you have to love it and just be crazy passionate about it. If you want it to fix it for the better, I'm telling you, you can, all right? I'm giving you all a big virtual hug right now. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I believe in you, even if you don't. Thanks, guys.
The Fasting Focused Lifestyle, copyright 2021 by Vicki Sharon. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.